And good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Winged Octopus podcast. Here, we were away for a while, but we are now back, and hopefully, we're going to be doing 1 to 2 episodes every month during the summer. I know it'll pick up a little bit as we go on here with the free agency and the NHL draft and everything. But how is everybody doing tonight? Tess, how you doing in Michigan tonight?
I'm wonderful. I'm not freezing like I was 24 hours ago, and tomorrow I'll be sweating. It's just great to live in Michigan. All 4 seasons in 3 days. It's wonderful.
I would say Massachusetts is just about the same way, except that it's 90 degrees again today, but we're not going to get into that. Tanner, how you doing down in the Carolinas? Can't remember which one.
It's good. North Carolina at the moment. North Carolina weather's just as bipolar, so but we've been getting a bunch of thunderstorms lately, but hopefully the sun comes out soon.
So, and that's awesome. I mean, the weather down there is very bipolar. I've actually vacationed down there a bunch of times. But anyways, we're going to get into hockey. A lot has happened over the last while that we haven't talked for a while. So a lot has happened. The Pittsburgh Penguins won the Stanley Cup for the second time in a row. Boo, obviously.
Let's not talk about it.
But we do have some positive news regarding the Baby Wings, the Griffins. They won the Calder Cup. They beat the Syracuse Crunch 4-3 on a Marty Ferk goal in the third period, and basically gave Grand Rapids their second title in the last 5 years. I think they won in 2013. So yeah, the last 5 years, and it's been incredible to see that. Tyler Bertuzzi got the MVP. And, it gives us a glimmer of hope. So basically, we're going to get into it. Tanner, what is your thoughts on Grand Rapids winning the Calder Cup?
I was happy. You and I joked around the night that they won it. Dan Cleary is a champion again. That's like music to my ears. It was nice to see some of those guys celebrate. Obviously, I was able to watch from here. They streamed it online at AHL.com. So it was very cool to see. The crowd was really into it. The crowd was loud. It kind of gives us something to cheer about after dealing with the Wings all season, the ups and downs of their season. So at least there were some positives to kind of wrap up the playoff stretch and the regular season.
I definitely agree. It also gives a glimmer of hope, and it also gives a guy like Tyler Bertuzzi or a guy like Martin Ferk or, any of those guys, another look in training camp and a shot at making the Red Wings. So, Tess, I'm going to ask you the same thing. What were your thoughts on them winning the Calder Cup? And, what does it give you any sense of hope for the future?
Oh, it made me so happy, in the midst of, the Pittsburgh winning. So thankfully the Griffins could make me happy. Because they're our little babies. So to see them win and give us all Wings fans that we lost so much over the last year, I was really happy and ecstatic, especially because they beat, Tampa Bay's farm team. Like the rivalry is still there. So I hope it kind of revs up for the season. And I was really happy to see Tyler Bertuzzi get MVP because I've been pulling for him all season. So I'm really hoping that can lock him in for sure for next season. But time will only tell. But I was really happy to see him win along with the rest of the Griffins. So, yeah.
It will certainly be interesting to see who ends up making the team out of training camp. And I'll just give my quick thoughts on this situation. I think that it gives us a glimmer of hope. It also gives us some juice going into the new arena with maybe Bertuzzi making the team or maybe Ferk making the team or maybe Svechnikov sneaking in and making the team. Robbie Russo obviously is probably going to have a good shot at making the Red Wings, especially he played well. And then basically I would just say that Jared Coro went 15-4 in the regular season for the Griffins. And, that's really good to see, especially since the goaltending situation for the Red Wings doesn't look bleak, but it's very uncertain. And we'll get into that with the next subject here. But quickly, I just want to let you guys know the NHL Awards is going on right now. Okay. And Connor McDavid actually just won the Ted Lindsay Award, which is the NHL's most outstanding player as chosen by the NHLPA. So we don't have to weigh into that. I just want to kind of throw that out there.
We'll kind
Fun fact.
of move, yeah. We'll kind of move over towards today's other news with Las Vegas actually picking their players in the expansion draft today. So I kind of wanted to get everybody's opinion on that reaction. The Las Vegas did go ahead and select Thomas Nosek from Detroit. So I wanted to get your guys' kind of reaction, what you thought about Nosek being taken by Las Vegas, but were you also surprised that Mrazek wasn't protected when they released that protected list the other day, or were you surprised that he wasn't even taken? Tess, we'll start with you.
When I saw like on Twitter, everyone was like blowing up like, "Oh, Nosek." I honestly forgot he was around, so I kind of felt bad. But it's like, is Vegas being sneaky? Like, I don't know who's the winner or loser here, but I mean, whatever. And then when my reaction to Mrazek, I've said it in previous podcasts, like with the whole goalie thing, I did not care. I feel like whoever we stick with, I think we'll deal with it. Yeah, I don't know. Everyone was still like kind of going crazy about it. Everyone's like butthurt. I'm just like, whatever's gonna make this team better, because I don't want to be losers forever.
Were you
Not
surprised
about
that
LA.
somebody was protected?
Yeah, Nick Jensen. I saw his
Okay.
name and I was like, oh, forgot about him. But I mean, that kind of proved to me that like he did good, because Ken Holland wants to keep him, and if he's a good defenseman, I'm all about good defense because we don't have any. So that was like a pleasant surprise. I mean, I really wasn't thrilled to see a few of like the Michigan guys on there, because the loyalty whole thing, that's a whole nother story. But to see Jensen on there, I'm like, okay, he like earned his spot, so good for him.
Tyler, I know you're kind of split on the goalie situation in Detroit. What did you think about Las Vegas either not taking Mrazek or him being left open to be taken, and then Nosek ultimately being selected by them?
Well, I'll go with Nosek just because that's the way you asked it the first time. So Nosek, he had 51 games played. He had 41 points for the Griffins. He played 11 games with the Wings. Only had a goal in his area. Had a goal. And when he played with the Wings, he's 6'3", about 210, and he was pretty physical. He was pretty good. And I do remember a few years back they needed him. I believe he played 5 or 6 games and he didn't have any points. But he was a big presence, but you could tell he was raw. The time that he came up this year, it looked like he was ready. And that kind of scares me a little bit. But you know what? At least they didn't take a guy like Xavier Ouellet, who was also unprotected. And at least they didn't take a guy like Peter Mrazek, who is future goaltender, which I don't know if I buy 100%. But just my thoughts on the Mrazek situation, I would just say that it's a wake-up call for him. He better get his head out of his ass pretty much. And, basically at the end of the day, I think Ken Holland knew that Vegas wasn't going to take him. There was probably some kind of a mutual understanding between George McPhee and Ken Holland. And basically he just said, hey, look, don't take this guy. You guys can have Nosek, but we're gonna expose Mrazek. Don't take him. And I'm sure they tried to negotiate something, and McPhee was probably like, okay, you know what, just relax. We're not going to take him. We don't need a goalie. We're taking Fleury anyways, or whoever they're going to end up taking. But basically my thoughts is if they were going to expose him in the act of having him get claimed by Vegas, that is stupid. But since they seem to know what they're doing, you know what? I guess you got to hand it to Ken Holland for that, because maybe it does two things. Maybe it scares the crap out of Peter Mrazek, like I said, to get his head out of his ass, and number two, it basically will give him a little bit of motivation, hopefully going into this season. Or you know what? Maybe they end up trading him at the draft. Who knows? Did
you see anybody who was protected that you were kind of taken back by?
There was a few, actually. Mike Green, what the hell is he doing being protected? Please, someone explain to me that one. And then the other one that I really didn't understand. I mean, I guess I do understand, because, we did just sign him to a 7-year deal.
Oh, God, don't get me started.
Franz Nielsen. I like Franz Nielsen as a player. I think he's a good player. But I also think that there was probably some kind of way that Vegas may have taken that guy, because he is a center, and they do have to fill the salary cap. So that would have been one that I would have said, you know what? Okay, maybe Ken Holland just doesn't want to look bad on that contract, or maybe he still thinks that he can help the Red Wings. But at 33 years old, he might as well go somewhere and try to win, because he ain't going to win here for the next few years.
Speaking of bad contracts, what in the hell are they doing protecting Justin Abdelkader?
Here we go.
No, seriously.
Here we go.
You look at some of these guys that they left unprotected, whether it was Xavier Ouellet or some of those other youngsters, whether it was Thomas Nosek. You're going to protect a guy whose contract is probably one of the worst on that team. Let Las Vegas take that contract if they're going to take that contract. Now, and if you're talking about Mrazek, whether they're not protecting him is a wake up call. It needs to be a wake up call for Justin Abdelkader. Because he has been terrible. He is supposed to be a leader in that locker room, and he is supposed to be kind of that first guy on the ice that people look to, and he was almost non-existent this last year. And again, that's another one of those bad contracts with Ken Holland.
Just to play a little bit of devil's advocate here, and I like to do that from time to time. Now, Justin Abdelkader did sign that big contract, and I do think they overpaid for them. But you do have to overpay for these players, otherwise they end up going somewhere else. And I know that you don't feel strongly about Justin Abdelkader. He did have a bad year last year, but let's play a little bit of devil's advocate. He was injured a little bit last year, and you know, the guy that basically got him a lot of the points that he had the previous year, Pavel Datsyuk, no longer there. So you know, he really didn't have anyone to play with. So I mean, I guess the chemistry just wasn't there with Zetterberg, or, you know, and there was points and times where he was on the third and fourth lines. So
he bounced back and forth just with many other guys like Dylan Larkin bouncing back from a couple lines. So again, that could be part of it, but it just seemed like that team did not have the legs all year. They did not have the drive all year. When it came to kind of Nosek getting picked, it for me, it didn't mean much for the Wings. If it would have been Mrazek, like you said, there was probably some behind the scenes knowledge who Las Vegas was already going to take. But we'll kind of see what happens with Mrazek. I've stated before that the Wings need to make a decision on which goalie is going to kind of be their guy moving forward. So, you know, we'll kind of see how that turns out.
I have a question for both of you guys. This wasn't planned or anything, but it just came up, so I figured I'd ask you. Do you guys give Holland credit?
For what?
For what, this Nosek Mrazek deal?
Yeah, I mean, do you give him credit for not protecting Peter Mrazek, and maybe George McPhee helped them out a little bit, but do you give him any credit for now? It looks like you're going to have both of the goalies still here.
If it honestly is a wake up call for Mrazek and he gets his shit together and like is, you know, the goalie that us fans want him to be, I will give Holland credit. Probably the first ounce of credit I will give him in like a handful of years. I think maybe if that was his train of thought, maybe he's finally getting fed up with all this shit going on. It's like, listen, you all are not invincible here. I don't care if you're young and talented. I don't care if you're old and talented. If you're gonna have a bad attitude that's gonna affect this locker room, you can leave. Like, you know, you might think you're hot shit, but we don't think you're hot shit. So if that's like his like mind, like train of thought, I'm for it. If it works out, awesome. If we get screwed, then it's another thing to add to the list of bad things Holland's done. So.
Well, I mean, at least he didn't get claimed, so I guess it can't really turn bad on him.
Yeah.
So, Tanner, your thoughts?
Go one of two ways.
Well, which one am I starting with first?
Do you give Holland any credit?
Oh, do I give Holland any credit? I think it's still kind of a wait and see at this point. I think from a lot of people's first reaction is that he kind of just got by this whole process with, Mrazek not getting selected. Like, it's just kind of a deep sigh of relief. For me, I think it's still kind of a wait and see, because are you still going to trade him? Are you going to get anything back for him if you do try to trade him? Or, as we've discussed, if this is his wake-up call, how is he going to perform going into next year? Their last few years, they've kind of had this back and forth with Howard and Mrazek not giving a guy enough ample time to kind of protect his net or kind of get in a rhythm. So I think that's kind of probably throwing both Howard and Mrazek off a little bit. So I think Holland's okay at this point. I don't think that we can say that he's kind of safe or made a good choice at this point. But, as fans, as you mentioned, we don't know if there's anything behind the scenes that, that we don't know about.
Well, I mean, like I said before, Craig Custance, he's writing for the Athletic that just started in Detroit. Check them out. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there a little bit. He basically said that the Red Wings are, and this was in an article about Peter Mrazek specifically, and then why they didn't protect him. And basically he said it's just that. It is a wake-up call, and he didn't think that he would be picked up. And he also said that the Red Wings have something that have made them successful over the last 25, 26 years. Basically that is the accountability. And there was a lot of things. There was actually a particular part of the article that said something like, and I'm paraphrasing here, so just bear with me. Basically, that he didn't get complacent, but he placed blame elsewhere, when things weren't going right. And the Red Wings organization, it's blame yourselves and don't blame your teammates, because it's on you most of the time when you're not doing well. Just to throw something out there, guys, and I'm going to do this here from time to time because the NHL awards is going on. Patrice Bergeron just won the Selke Award. I believe it's third. So that's for the best defensive, best defensive forward in the NHL. So Pavel Datsyuk won that a few times. So I guess I'd just throw that out to you guys.
Well, okay. Well, on that note, so talking about, the NHL awards in Vegas, let's move on to these new Adidas jerseys, your reactions. What do you guys think? Like, I was pretty stoked to see that the Red Wings kept it classy. So, I mean, that's how I felt. Other jerseys I liked that Colorado kind of brought back, like throwing it back to old school. Like my childhood, I feel, is coming back. Yes. I did like Anaheim. I thought it's still like a slick, clean look. I was jealous they didn't throw back to the Mighty Ducks because, again, childhood, but I'll get over it. I feel really bad for Nashville, and they are just basically just covered in mustard now. And then for Vegas, so I'm trying to have it grow on me. I like their gold that they have. It's sparkly. But what are your opinions? I'm curious. You guys feel the same?
I hate them. I don't like the majority of them. Adidas has this weird thing with the arm sleeves where they have stripes on everybody's arm sleeves, and it just bothers the hell out of me looking at it.
But at least they didn't go.
I just noticed that. Yeah.
At least they didn't go with the stupid 3 things that they did for the World Cup of Hockey, like the regular, like how Adidas has that on the pants and everything.
Yeah,
the little thing. They had that on the armpits for all the World Cup of Hockey jerseys.
And that's fine. Just the ones that look incredibly awkward are the teams that have like 3 or 4 team colors. The ones that between like the Red Wings, the Lightning, and the Maple Leafs, who kind of have 2 colors, which is red and white or blue and white. It's just kind of simple. It all goes in together. But when you start mashing like, Vancouver's blue, white, and green, and I just can't stand that one. Let's see. Just some of the other ones that you just start meshing 3 or 4 different colors together don't look good. Heck, Las Vegas's doesn't even look that good.
That red stripe is still bugging me.
It's bad.
Still not rubbing me the right way. I mean, I like the gold color that they have. Like, that's the only thing they got going for that red stripe. It needs to exit stage left because it just looks awkward.
But I'd agree. Probably my favorite is probably the Avalanche one because of the nostalgic kick there. I don't mind the Anaheim Ducks one that bad either.
Okay, yeah, Tyler, what's your opinions?
So my thoughts are basically the Minnesota Wild one were my favorite ones. Those were mint. The green with the almost Montreal Canadiens like stripe there. I know it's not cream, it's white, but it's still sweet. And then like the M on the side, it kind of almost throws back the North Stars almost. Those are sweet. I really, at first, I hated the Vegas ones. I really did. And then I believe it was Pete Blackburn, actually a pretty good Boston, not friend of mine, but I guess, what do they call it? Anyways, basically someone I follow on Twitter that I've talked to a bunch of times. And, he tweeted out a closer picture of them. And the sparkles looked cool, or whatever you want to call them. And like the actual detail of the jersey looked cool. And I think the white one is pretty sweet. But the one that they have, the gray one, I thought it was pretty nice. I mean, at first, like I said, it was awful. But that picture, that really turned me on. I thought those were pretty sweet. I actually might even buy one, to be honest with you. And then
Okay,
Go
real
for it.
quick.
I'm sorry.
So you guys threw out your favorite ones. I'm gonna take something that one of our fellow members, Val, on Twitter, she's at NHL Valerie. She did this awesome thing earlier with a quote with the best and worst
Yep.
jerseys that they came out with. So I want to forget your favorites. I want to hear what you guys think. What's the best and what's the worst?
Are we thinking the same thing, Tyler?
what, the Canucks?
No, actually no. Well, I kind of touched on that one earlier. The Predators, man. That one's. Ugh.
I agree.
I'm sorry.
That was
They,
bad.
I
Yeah,
feel
no,
bad
that was
for them. I
somebody
think
that
that they got the raw
As
end
unique
of the deal.
colors as they do, I just don't know how you do that with that jersey. Like it just, I don't get it.
I'll tell you the worst one that I seen, and I don't know if you guys seen it, but the Washington Capitals one is awful. Timo Pulkkinen is going to the Vegas Golden Knights, by the way. Just letting you know.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
Ooh, interesting. I didn't
they
really
just
look at the
selected
Capitals that much.
those are awful.
to go
The
back
Capitals
and
ones are
browse.
awful. They should have never changed anything. And we should have known this as Michigan fans. I think we all are here. The University of Michigan, when Adidas took over and changed the jerseys, I almost was ashamed to be a Michigan fan. And I am so glad that Jordan is back with Nike, and there's no more ugly Adidas. And it's like the NHL's settling here. Like, I don't know.
I think it's a move in the right direction for like some change, but we can't like get too greedy. Like the NHL is like, and one of the articles I wrote, we're like the redheaded stepchild compared to all four major sports. So it's like a slow and steady process to like be accepted as like a pro sport. Like at least in the U.S., like no one cares about hockey. Like, but outside of like you're a hockey town, like so Michigan or in Minnesota and Boston, like you can get behind your hockey teams. Everyone else, like from California or like Florida,
Believe
like,
it or not, now, believe it or not, here, obviously it's second and third to the baseballs and the footballs and the basketballs of the world. But even in California, I actually played junior hockey, and there was 8 kids on my team from California, 8. And
That's impressive.
you wouldn't believe how big it actually is in California. And Matt, actually, our owner of this podcast / blog, is a very big testament to that. And
that is right. I forgot he is from California.
It's bigger than you think. It really is, as is Florida. But like I said, I mean, it's nothing like what the hockey hotbeds are here. Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, even New York's getting really big into hockey. So
on the topic
we're
of
nothing
jersey,
compared.
Yeah, on the topic of jerseys, do you guys kind of wish that there was a alternate jersey, whether it's for the Red Wings or for every team?
I wish they would keep like. Because I remember I was thinking and talking about it last night. Like, I know Nashville, they had that third one. It was like blue and silver with like a hint of mustard. So I remember I saw a picture of Carrie Underwood wearing it. And I was like, that would actually be cute. Like, I would like maybe wear it. So if they would keep that, it would, I think, even out the bad one that they like their home one now. But I mean, I really didn't like Pittsburgh's ice baby blue jersey. I just was not a fan. So I don't know. I mean, it just depends on how nicely the third jerseys. I wish the Red Wings would kind of get one just to shake it up, but I think we're just too traditional that we don't like to go that way. So it would have been nice, but I won't lose sleep over it.
So I think that the Red Wings should, and I believe they will get one. I think Adidas is going to force them to, because you know how Adidas rolls. They want to sell as much as does Nike and all those things. So they will force them to get one at one point. And I'm sure
they'll go with the black. They'll go with the black, or do you think they'll go the camouflage? Because I like those camouflage ones.
No, I don't think they'll go either of those. I think they'll do something with red with some cream, or like white with the red stripe with the Old English D on it, or something to that effect.
I almost rather
them
do like an old winter. I rather them go back to like an old Winter Classic jersey, because like the ice baby blues for Pittsburgh, that's what they wore in the first Winter Classic in 2008. Yeah. I think that was cool. They got to wear that, and I have the 2014 Winter Classic Denver jersey in my closet. I would like to see that again because I liked it. It's a really awesome jersey, and the ones they wore for this.
Sweet.
And then for the Centennial Classic, my sister got a Larkin one for Christmas, and I loved how they put, I forget which arm it was, but they put all the years of the cups on it in silver. Like, it looks so like just clean and fancy, and I was insanely jealous. So I like to see that be their alternative, like one of those Winter Classic jerseys be their alternative, because I think it'd be awesome.
I even think the 09 one was awesome. The white one with the Old English D with like the stripe on it. The one they played Chicago at Wrigley Field, that one was sweet. Both of those were awesome jerseys.
We've been lucky to have good Winter Classic jerseys. Or jerseys in general.
Yes.
We have been very blessed.
So I didn't get to throw my 2 cents in about the Red Wings one. I'd like to just do that real quick. The only thing I will say about the Red Wings jerseys, they're obviously the best jerseys in all of sports, in my opinion.
Amen.
And I think a lot of people feel that way. Even people in this group I'm in on Facebook would said like the same thing, and they're Chicago fans and like Pittsburgh fans. So, but basically, the only thing I would have ever changed about the Red Wings jersey, I don't really like the collar that much. And now I know Adidas kind of does that with their collars with the hockey jerseys, which is fine. But I would have liked to see the tie downs. I don't know about you guys, but the tie downs would have been sweet.
I remember you mentioning that on Twitter like yesterday, and then early this morning I did check my jerseys, because I swear I have a jersey with the tie down. It's the 2014 Winter Classic with the tie down, and it looks pretty awesome. So I fear like if it would have made them look weird because we're not used to it. So, yeah, right. But maybe they can do it. Maybe if they have an alternative one, that can be a tie down, like something different, and like make it look, because it'd be a whole new look. I think we're still like afraid of change, so not so fast.
I think the second sweetest jerseys in hockey and probably in all of sports too, the Montreal Canadiens red jersey, the home one with like the stripe around it, the blue stripe, and that jersey is just classic. And then I would have also liked for the Red Wings to do something on the inside back collar. I don't know why they didn't. They should have just put like Hockey Town or something. A lot of the teams did it. I'm not sure why the Red Wings elected not to do that.
Saving space for a Gordie Howe patch, maybe. Hopefully
no, I mean like on the inside back. Like you don't even see it while you're on the ice. But like Vegas put Vegas. The Devils put their cup years on there.
That's interesting.
Montreal, what they're saying.
Yeah, Montreal.
French. I can't read French, but I did see someone put it. And I was like, well, because it's something that they use or have in like, it's like tradition for them. And I was like, well, that's nice. It would have been nice to, for us to put Hockey Town or something with meaning. But
Hockey Town, Motor City, whatever. It doesn't really matter. I mean, something.
Pizza, for all I care. Something.
Oh my God! Don't do that. Do not do that. Do not do that.
Pizza. It's good. Get used to it. It's what they're going to start playing when we're going like on a power play or something. Watch.
So it is just to announce here. It is official. The Vegas Golden Knights do take Tomas Nosek from the Red Wings. So that is now official.
Woo.
Well, now we get to sit around and wait to see what happens. Do you think we trade him? Do you think we keep him?
Mrazek?
What? Yeah. Do you think Holland will try to trade him? Or
I think there's going to be an attempt to trade him, because that thing came out with Bob Kaser in Grand Rapids during the playoffs. I think that there is an attempt that they are going to try to trade him. Yeah, I do.
I'm sure there's been conversations there, and we'll kind of talk in future podcasts, about this offseason once the draft comes up and maybe, free agency hits and that.
Be a lot of juicy topics.
We hit that, and hopefully we hit our last offseason with Ken Holland. So
for sure. So I guess that's where we're going to wrap things up here. I know the NHL Awards is going on. We're not going to really be able to recap that, but we do have someone live tweeting. So if you guys want to take a look and see what's going on, I know you probably won't get this till tomorrow, but people are live tweeting this. I do want to thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for listening to this. I thank you, Tanner and Tess, for coming back on the show. It's always great to have you guys. This off season is going to be interesting. You guys have a great night. But basically, I just want you guys to shout out your Twitter handles first. Tess, you go first, please.
At TM Dudley XO.
And you, Tanner, please.
And mine's at the other T Swift. I pondered changing it last night to Steve Yzerman, please come home. I might do that in the future, but again, and I'm probably going to say this many more times. Steve Yzerman, if you are listening to this podcast, please come home.
Please come home.
Please.
He's coming home.
Please.
We
He's
love
coming
you.
home.
We
I have
love you.
news
We
for
love you to be
He's coming
back.
home.
Start
We will-
praying
we will.
now. Start talking to Jesus. Jesus.
We will
help
put a
us out.
statue outside of Little Caesars Arena.
There already
For
needs
you.
to be a
We-
statue.
we
I don't
will.
Yeah, there
understand
better
what
be.
they're waiting for. There's a Gordie Howe.
We're
There's
waiting for
a
him to
Ted
come
Lindsay.
home.
There needs to be a
Tyler,
Steve
he's gotta
Yzerman
come home
statue.
first.
Hell, they
Please come
finally
home.
decided the other day that maybe they need to talk about retiring Sergei Fedorov's number. Like, how is that just coming
Yeah,
out
we'll have a,
2017
we'll have
that
a
you
full
just-
podcast
That's
about
for
that
a
one.
whole new podcast.
Excuse me. Yeah, we'll
My
have a
bad.
full podcast on that one at some point. But so I want to thank you guys for joining us. You can follow me on Twitter at Mass Wings Fan. You can follow the Winged
Whatever you pick
Octopus
for the
on
week.
Twitter at Winged Octopus. You can also follow us on Instagram, Winged Octopus, and then like us on Facebook as well. I appreciate you guys joining us. Enjoy the NHL awards. Enjoy the offseason. We will be back as soon as possible. And have a great night, guys.
We out.
Peace.